Thank you very much to Malakay in stream chat for this little gem. Of course, people might remember me as the man who invented the scientific method, the sitcom, and silent Velcro. I am JoRoSaR, legendary filmmaker, lover of women and pies. But you're here watching the Vasacast Invitational, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to be able to bring you the finals. We have a best of 5 going now between Toronto Esports, LucifroN, and roxkisFRAER. We have a TVP, and the first map is going to be on Daybreak. The players are ready, the countdown has begun, and we are in fact already into the game, so let's get into things and see where things stand. This is the Vasacast Invitational. This is, of course, the best of 5 finals, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, this is no longer a best of 3. A little bit more long-term strategy required here. Let's see what our 2 amazing players can come up with on this very stage. Spawning on Daybreak in the top right-hand position as the green Protoss player from the Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen. Representing the team roxkis, we have FRAER. His opponent spawning in the bottom left-hand corner as the orange Terran player, defeating his brother in the semi-finals to get this far. Will he be able to take home the $1,500 top prize here at the Vasacast Invitational? Representing Toronto Esports, we have LucifroN. An absolutely epic TVZ promised here. FRAER has been on a tear recently. Don't forget, this is the guy who went to DreamHack Bucharest, defeated Nurcio in the group stages, and then went on to beat the STC in the knockout stages before eventually losing to Bly, who came runner-up in the entire tournament. LucifroN, on the other hand, is becoming an absolute Terran beast of late. I believe overall Vortex has a positive record against him, and he too owed his brother in the semis, showing imperious form. Let's see what he can do today here in this best of 5 final. Now, there's a little bit more thought planned out in a best of 5. You typically want to be reverting to a more solid build, or if you decide to cheese, you choose the exact map you're going to be cheesing on and how, and you plan that out in advance. It's a little bit more GSL-esque. Also, you've had the opportunity to study your opponent, and it's going to be your final opponent for some time, which means you can think about their playstyles and try and think what you'd be able to do to counter it. So we'll see what these guys come up with in this best of 5. Gateway going down now for FRAER. He did actually go for his Nexus, as you can see here first. So both sides going to be playing a macro game. We have a 1-Rax gasless fast expand coming out of here from LucifroN. We see an SCV inside the main base scouting that the gas has indeed been taken for FRAER. We'll be able to see the second gas has been taken now as well. And we have both gases being taken post-expansion from LucifroN. So could we be seeing a faster factory come out of him here yet? Let's see what happens going into the near future. Nexus now almost complete for FRAER here. We have the SCV still hovering around the base, of course, until the first Stalker comes out. Doesn't really have to worry about too much. Zealot, of course, doesn't actually run as fast as an SCV, so LucifroN will be able to continue getting scouting information if he so wished. Just going to make sure there isn't any hidden tech in the corners of the base as well while he's at it. He can see that the gateway is producing a unit before the cybernetics core is complete, so he's not worried because he knows it has to be a Zealot. And we do indeed have the factory going down and a reactor popping down as well, so we could be seeing some TVP Hellions pop out of here from LucifroN on game number 1 on Daybreak. The natural command center has now complete, and he's going to be popping up his orbital command to benefit from those double mules. So he's going to be able to ramp up his economy relatively quickly. The Zealot desperately trying to catch up with this SCV. Unfortunately, he will always be very slightly slow in his pursuit as the SCV conveniently has a jetpack. But we have got the Stalker now being chrono boosted out, and that will actually spell the end of the SCV if he decides to continue staying inside the main base of FRAER. In the meantime, we can see the factory and the reactor now out for LucifroN. He's going to be getting his first 2 Hellions out now as well. And look at this, we're actually following it up with a starport. So an opening that we more typically see in TVZ is going to be popping out here against FRAER. He might be going for maybe a Raven. But I suspect this is going to be for Banshees. We'll find out in just a moment as the barracks and starport get promptly swapped over. And there completes the starport, and here we go. Alright, so only the 2 Hellions being rallied out across the map at the moment, and look at this, we have Cloak coming out as well for the Banshee. So we are going to be going for a Hellion Banshee opener here. In the meantime, back in the main base of Protoss, we have the gateway up with a couple of sentries popping out and a robotics facility on the way as well. So, very, very nice force field just in time by that sentry there to stop the Hellions from getting too far up. Trying to kill off a number of pros, managing to get a couple, but only a single Hellion remains now, and it looks like the Stalker is going to be able to take it out before it kills any more. Total of 3 workers killed versus 1 at the moment. Not the best trade for LucifroN. That's 2 whole Hellions or 200 minerals, of course. And only killing a total of 3 workers. In the meantime, we have the supply depot wall off at the natural expansion for LucifroN as well. Really nice hold there from FRAER, who's going to be going up to a total of 4 gateways. We have the first Immortal out just in case he needs some very solid early game defense here, and he's going to be poking out with an Observer as well, just to see exactly what's going on inside the main base of LucifroN so he can read the tech correctly. More Banshees popping in though, and we can see one over here going to be popping into the main base. Cloak is approximately 5 seconds away from completion, and the Observer is actually almost out as well. In fact, I think it is out. Yes, it is. So these Cloak Banshees aren't going to be able to get too much damage done at all. We have another 4 Hellions popping into the natural, and this is completely walled off. The Hellions trying to get the sentry, successfully picking off a sentry, which is pretty cool, but that's really about it at this moment in time. And we have the Banshee moving in towards the natural. The Observer was rallied out across the map, but the second one is here now. We just need to see a couple of Stalkers warped in. There we go. How many kills does this Banshee have? 5 at the moment. That's 5 more kills than he otherwise should have gotten if there was an Observer here in the first place. Second Banshee now out for LucifroN. Going to be heading in towards the main base, and there's only 1 Observer out, remember, so as long as these Banshees stay split up, it's going to be rather frustrating for FRAER to have to deal with. Will this second Banshee move in towards the main base? We'll wait and see. Keep an eye on that mini-map. We actually have the original Banshee moving into the main base, the second one coming in via the side now. It's going to be poking in and out, but there isn't actually an Observer there at the moment, so he could potentially do a bit more damage. The first Banshee remains now uncloaked. He's trying to lure the stuff away. We have the second Banshee coming in now. The Observer is following the first Banshee, and the second one is now doing some damage, but there is an Observer behind the mineral line. So more damage being done by LucifroN, and FRAER getting caught a little bit off guard, but did get the Observers at the right time, and not a ridiculous amount of damage has been done. 12 workers killed to 1 as it currently stands, 53 to 48 workers in favor of LucifroN. So his economy is going to be given a bit of a boost right now, but he did invest a lot in those Banshees as well as in Cloak, and we do have effectively following them now as well. So there's going to be a limited amount of mid to late game damage that can be done here unless FRAER completely messes up with his Observer play. In the meantime, though, let's not neglect the tech that FRAER has been going up towards. He's going for Colossi, and LucifroN, of course, has scouted it. So extended thermal lance is about 3/4 of the way done, and LucifroN knows all about it. He's going to be making 2 Vikings at a time. For now, that's going to be acceptable. We have another Observer here checking out the army and the upgrades at the front of the base. We can see they're currently at 0-0. Stim and combat shields are on the way, though, and 1-1 is about to complete for the Bio 2. So the Hellions not being terribly effective, unfortunately. However, the Banshees doing a reasonable amount of damage. The Observer once again following this Banshee, and it looks like the Banshee's not going to get too much more done. He's going to have to move into the corner. In the meantime, Stalkers behind the mineral line here ensure that that Banshee cannot actually get additional stuff done. Third base now being taken for FRAER, and already up and running for LucifroN with the mules being dropped there as well. 5th and 6th gases immediately getting taken for our Terran player. He's now producing a lot of units at once. 3 Marauders, 3 Marines, and 3 Vikings simultaneously. FRAER at the moment, he's going to be getting out additional structures to build units out of, so 3 more gateways going down for him right now. Zealot Charge also being researched at his Twilight Council. And he's getting that lovely +2 ground weapons upgrade. That's going to be very useful, especially once those Zealots get charge. So let's wait and see what the timing's going to be on a Templar Archive. So speak of the devil, it's right there. So he's going to try and get Storm out as well as quickly as possible. Do we have a Ghost Academy out for our Terran player at the moment? I don't see one in the main base, so it doesn't look like it just yet. I have little doubt that he'll be going into Ghosts a little bit later on. Concussive Shell almost complete, and we do have +2 started for him as well. 3 Zealots attempting to kite 3 Hellions rather attempting to kite 1 Zealot, successfully doing so there. And will be able to keep hold of that watchtower. And that's important because LucifroN has an army here moving towards the third base location of Fryer and doesn't want Fryer to know about it until it actually hits his front door. He's going to see it with the Observer now, though, leading with the Vikings to potentially take out those Colossi. And oh dear, I'm glad this wasn't actually in the middle of an engagement, though. We have a little bit of lag from one of the Observers in the game. It looks like things have stabilized there now. The players haven't requested a pause, so we are going to be going in as promised. LucifroN looking to engage here. 164 supply versus 128. Guardian Shield going up, and we have a couple of really excellent swipes from the Colossi to start this game off. Are the Stalkers going to be able to take the Vikings out in time? They're almost getting one-shotted. There's only a single Colossus left, though, and the Stalkers are picking apart all the Vikings. There's only one Viking left, but all the Colossi are dead. And we actually have another stim back in, picking apart an Immortal and a Sentry here from LucifroN. Is a Fryer going to be... I'd like to see a blink forward picking apart the Medivacs. Is he going to get the Medivacs? No, he's actually going for the Marauders instead, so LucifroN sacrificing this army here. But Fryer doing okay out of that. He lost all of his Colossi, which is going to be very frustrating for him. But the third base is still mining. He successfully managed to hold that off. And oh, just missing the opportunity to block that bit off. But it looks like no additional damage will get done. That extended thermal lance doing very, very well indeed against those Hellions, and those Zealots pack a pretty big punch as well. LucifroN now at his defensive watchtower. We can see he has a Mobius reactor on the way, and 2-2 is about to complete as well, so he could go for a 2-2 push with some Ghost. He did lose almost all of that army, crucially keeping the Medivacs alive, so that's going to play into his hands because he won't have to rebuild quite so many, and he can focus a bit more on Viking production. I'm not sure 2 is going to be enough, though. He may want to consider grabbing a couple more. Otherwise, stimming could get very deadly indeed if he doesn't watch out. We have a bunker and some supply depots going down at the third to try and slow down a potential push going in that direction. And Fryer, in the meantime, doesn't actually know where the army is because the Observer is just slightly out of range of this watchtower. He's going to be sending a couple of Zealots towards the fourth base location, and also towards the third, just to make sure nothing untoward is happening. We have both gases being taken in this forward expansion here. So I suspect we'll be seeing a command center pop down here some point soon, possibly this one. There we go, immediately lifting up and putting up there. I think that's probably going to be a planetary fortress, and the Zealots are coming in now to try and take out this refinery. And it looks like a massive stim in from LucifroN's going to say, actually, no, I'd quite like to mine this gas, thank you very much. And he's going to move back to the watchtower. No real damage done. A decent bunch of Stalkers popping out here, but they're no match for the army right now of LucifroN. He's currently at 180 supply versus the 146 supply of Fryer, who has also taken his fourth base. If we take a quick look at the worker supply, it's 77 to 76. Both players macroing up to their heart's content right now. And Fryer sees that this army is coming, sees that it's coming via the bottom, and is able to get in position very, very quickly indeed. What will he be able to do with this army, though? The Ghost potentially coming forward, and the Stalker's there to try and snipe them off. Needs to not get too far ahead of himself, though, and there's the blink backwards, and now the Ghosts are going to come in because he knows that there's no blink forward possible from the... Oh, good God! From the Stalkers, but an excellent EMP off on the High Templar mean that there aren't any storms left in this army, and that could be disastrous for Fryer. LucifroN now 180 supply. The Colossi cut off from the rest of the army. This is actually a beautiful engagement for LucifroN. He's practically losing nothing here, and Fryer, GG's, down 100 supply. What an amazing engagement from our Terran player, and LucifroN takes a 1-0 lead.